Welcome to the latest episode of Hope in the Face of Cancer, where we share real stories of courageous people in their cancer journey. This episode is a reflection, a celebration, and a look ahead that's filled with stories, wisdom, and the legacy of leadership that continues to guide us forward. To honor the 35th year anniversary milestone for CanCare, we sat down for 3 special conversations with the women who have helped shape CanCare across the years, with each offering a unique perspective on their journey, the beginning, the growth, and into the present and the future. You'll hear from our founder, our very first CEO, and our current chairman of the board. 3 remarkable leaders who have carried the heart of CanCare through different seasons and helped build something truly life-changing. Let's begin at the very beginning with the woman whose vision started it all. We begin with Turnage, the founder of CanCare. After facing cancer herself, Anne felt a calling, a deep conviction that no one should ever have to walk that path alone. With faith, boldness, and compassion, in 1990, she launched what would become a national movement of emotional and spiritual support. Anne's story is where CanCare begins, and her legacy lives on in every connection we make today.
I am so proud of CanCare and so grateful for you too. But a word or two about how this got started. I just have celebrated in January my 51st year since I was diagnosed with cancer. And I believe that God left me here to give hope to cancer survivors, and not just those of you who are here today, but wherever anybody hears about. There's a woman that is still living at 96 years old, and she had cancer 51 years ago. And my cancer was done in emergency surgery, and they discovered that I was not just a cancer survivor, but the worst kind. I was diagnosed stage 4D at that time. And, as soon as I got on my feet and was walking around after surgery, I was drawn to other cancer survivors. Some of them I knew and some I didn't know. But in the meantime, I would give them a call and go to see them. And we were fast friends immediately. And we discovered that I could hear their story and hear what they had to say. And they were helped, but I was helped too. I realized that I was giving back for what God had given to me in a good quality of life. And it was important for the new connections to realize that we had something in common that couldn't be missed. Family members and friends want to help us, and they are able to help, but not at the quality of help that another survivor can. Because we believe that survivor to survivor is a magic, because we understand what we really want to share and what we really need to talk about. And so that's been my mission, to do that. And my husband was a Presbyterian minister, and we moved several times. And he was always positive, and never ever thinking that, letting me think that I was going to die. And at every given year, like the 5th or the 10th year, he would raise a big party and invite all of the cancer survivors in the area to come. Let's celebrate life together. And when we lived in Charlotte, and he was in a church there, we made so many friends, and it was important for me to get a name for the ministry we were doing. And so we said, what about cancer ministry? And then the American Cancer Society said, oh no, that somebody's got that. So we named the group CanCare, and that's where the name came from. And so when we moved to Houston, they knew that I wanted to start a cancer ministry in Memorial Drive Presbyterian Church before we even came. And on the given Sunday after I was had gotten settled, Tom Toole, who was a senior pastor, made an announcement on Sunday morning in the worship service that one of our pastor's wives wants to start a cancer ministry in this church. And anybody who's had cancer would please join her in the fellowship hall. And 21 people came. And we told them what my dream was, and that they'd have to have training if they were going to help us to be a volunteer. And we could how many of you all could come next weekend? And 19 of the 21 could arrange their schedules to take the training the next weekend. So we were off and running, and within 3 months, the neighborhood churches heard about it and wanted to be a part of the CanCare too. And so we were reached out and to the pastors in those churches, and CanCare got started in Houston in that way. And we were so grateful for all the people who were helpful. And it wasn't long till people like Nancy Tucker and Warren Butler and different leaders in the community came forward to help. And first of all, we were given an office in a bank. American Bank of Commerce gave us a free office. And then it wasn't long until they needed that space, and we moved to the space where you now have an office. And you all have moved to make it larger and larger, and the program has grown even bigger, and not just in Houston, but in other places like Atlanta and Colorado. But in my personal life, I've been determined that anytime my family made a move, that we would start a CanCare in our church, wherever we were.
And you everywhere you go, you planted hope. You know, everywhere you go, you've just planted hope, and your legacy is so amazing, and we are so very grateful for your vision and your heart. Hearing from Ann reminds us of the power of one person's vision to change countless lives. Now let's hear from Nancy Tucker, CanCare's very first CEO. Nancy stepped in when the dream needed structure, and she brought it to life with wisdom, strategy, and heart. For 25 years, she helped expand the mission, build systems of support, and lead CanCare through incredible seasons of growth.
1990, I believe it was in August, I had checked into the hospital for what I thought was going to be a 30-minute routine operation. Woke up 6 hours later and had cancerous thyroid, parathyroid, 28 malignant lymph nodes removed from my neck, chest, and on my brainstem. We had no idea that it was going to be cancer. We were pretty much at lost, and I was a member of the Memorial Drive Presbyterian Church. And my mother had heard of a new ministry that was just starting. And so she called CanCare, and in comes and Turnage. And I was basically one of the first people visited by CanCare. And
so that's how you met Ann, was
she came into the hospital.
Wow.
Yep, came to the hospital and then subsequently she came to our home several times once I was released, because I couldn't start getting better until my treatment was I have to drink radioactive iodine, and you have to wait like 3 months to get it out of all the thyroid out of your system, and then you drink it. So I was at home for a long time, and she came to visit at the house, and she made such an impact. Once I got well, I started volunteering, doing some odd jobs, administrative work for her at her office. She had free office space in the back of a bank building off of Eldridge. And she asked me to go through the training. Normally we had to wait a year to go through the training, but she asked me to go through the training in January. And then I wrote, she wanted to hire a full-time person because she was part-time. And I wrote the grant to help her out, and I applied for the job, and I got both. Ann was so wonderful in the pastoral care, the counseling, and then the training of the volunteers. That was her main focus. And then everything else just was. At one time, my title was so long. It was like administrative assistant, business manager, accountant, development. It was a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And that's how it is when you start up. And then we slowly started adding some more employees as we continued to grow. But it was really at the startup phase when I started. I think there were 4 member congregations because we were founded in the faith community, and they were all 4 Presbyterian. And I think when I left, there were 104.
Wow.
And so, I can. It was so much fun to remember when we finally broke out and got a Catholic church. We went, yay!
We're diversifying.
We're diversifying. We thought that, yeah, we really did. And then, of course, Kim Trimble had helped us get into the Jewish community, and then we ended up getting, involved with the Muslims, Bahia, and every other faith there was. Yeah. So that's my cancer story. And that was, what was that? 32 years ago, 34 years ago.
34, yeah.
Yeah. 34 years ago. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Hard work,
Yeah.
long hours, a lot of energy was invested in growing it. But what better investment than investment in hope? But when we started off, we had free space in the back of a bank building, and we got kicked out. The Bank of America wanted the space back. And so we were putting out a newsletter then, typed on a typewriter.
Oh my goodness.
On a typewriter, and we had a few volunteers, and one of the volunteers was helping a woman who worked in the office building that you are currently in.
Yeah.
And
that's how you met John.
And that's how we got into that building. I went and visited the owner. I had asked for an appointment and went by, and he opened up a door and said, "Is this okay?" And that was Donald Earthman, and gave us free rent. And I believe the next year he came down and checked on us and said, "Let me know if you need anything." And we waited 20 minutes and called him and said, "Can we have more space?" And we moved upstairs to the 4th floor. I think we were originally on the 2nd floor. And then 2 years later, he came by and said the same thing. And we said, "We need more space." And he knocked out a wall and gave us more space. And he gave us free rent for many, many years until he sold the building. And once he sold the building, we were well positioned to be able to afford rent at that time. And we were able to pick up rent. Not that I did not ask. Well, Buzz Joshe was on our board, or George Joshe, but Buzz had connections with the Fondren Foundation. And the Fondren Foundation gave us some money the first couple of years. And then I believe in 92 and 93, we started doing the survivors, our Survivors Day luncheon. The first 5 years at least, it was free.
Wow.
There was no charge. It was for the volunteers.
Yeah.
But then we started the golf tournament. And then my job was writing grants and going out and soliciting donors. And that was my job. And then we developed the Friends of CanCare, and they put on the golf tournament, and that raised money, and they put on other events. And it was just going out, knocking on doors, calling people up, and asking,
Yeah.
just asking and telling the story. And it was, again, a lot of time, a lot of energy, but that's what you have to do. And it was a great cause. And so many people are touched by cancer.
Yeah.
People are touched by cancer, and usually they're wanting to do something. They just don't have an opportunity or don't know what to do to help. And so when you can explain that we've got so many wonderful volunteers who are out there doing such good work, and we need the finances in order to enable them to do their ministry, their work, people were willing to give. But no, and the fundraising for CanCare, I had such it had helped me so much, and I could see the work it was doing, and I believed in it.
Yeah.
That it was like asking money for if you had a sick child and you had to have money to keep that child to get an operation or keep the child alive. You'd go out and ask. If someone says no, you just keep going. Yeah. And because CanCare was our baby. Started off with a little box of index cards. And basically, we knew all the volunteers at this point in time. And when someone would call in, we could say, oh, I think Darcie would be perfect for that person.
Yeah.
Or we would go through the little box on Ann's desk, or Ann would, and look, we'd had them sorted according to cancer site. And that's how we started off.
That's amazing.
It's kind of grown a little with a complex computer system.
Yes, yes, I know. We've come a long way. I mean, it's really, remarkable. So as you think back to those early years, I mean, what kind of astounds you, when you think back to those early days? Like, what are you most proud of, or what are you most amazed by that you all accomplished in those early days?
Well, I can tell you every morning when I say my blessings, I thank God for the opportunity to have worked at CanCare and to have had the opportunity to work with the people I worked with and the volunteers that I worked with and the experiences. So I think we gave a lot of people that kind of blessing. The volunteers loved CanCare. They loved the training. They loved having the opportunity to pay back. And I think what I would feel is as a greatest accomplishment is giving other people their accomplishments too, and the ability to experience the joy of helping other people and making sense out of what they went through. What I am most proud of, that it has been able to keep going and grow and reach more people. And it's so cool now with all the technology and the internet and social media that you can reach even more people. At one point in time, we got several calls from India. We said this was before.
Right. I know Donna told me she actually supported one of those folks from India.
Yes. And I asked them, how did you hear about us? And under the ticker tape, they do under some news channels in India, someone had put our CanCare, Cancer Hope
Right.
organization and our phone number on a ticker tape in India. We have no idea how that happened. But I think for the future, hopefully the future, best thing we always said is we'd love to be put out of business.
Amen. That's right.
We'd love to be put out of business. But until then, the more hope we can give someone when they are scared to death, when they first hear those words, you have cancer and can't think straight, and someone can walk in their room and say, or look at them on the screen, and they're not lying in a bed sick, but they're sitting up looking good, feeling good, and say, I had that same kind of cancer. And I am a survivor and doing well, and you can be too. That we can continue to offer that, or you can continue to offer that. We need to remind anyone that Ann Turnage was given less than a 5% chance to live a year 52 years ago. And there is always hope. There is always hope. And I believe during my time at CanCare, we had survivors of every known type of cancer. We had pancreatic, we had brain, we had lung, we had liver, all the ones that everyone say are so deadly. And these are, we're not talking 6 month or a year survivor. We're talking 6, 7 years, 16 years, 20 years, 30 years survivors. That there's someone walking around on this earth today that has survived their type of cancer. There's no reason that can't be them. If with good medical help, a lot of power of prayer, good support, there's no reason it can't be them.
Nancy's leadership carried the mission forward and created a foundation we still stand on today. To bring us into the present and cast a bold vision for the future, we now hear from Sandra Beno, our current chairman of the board. Sandra leads with purpose and an unwavering commitment to the people we serve. Under her guidance, CanCare is moving confidently into our next chapter, growing stronger, reaching farther, and staying grounded in our mission.
For me, choosing CanCare over other organizations started with a personal relationship, because another CanCare board member who I previously served with on a prior board, he had gone through cancer. He knew I was going through cancer, and he reached out and thought that it would be really valuable for us to serve together on the CanCare mission. And he was right. One of the things that I appreciated was being able to learn more about CanCare at the survivorship luncheon, annual survivorship luncheon. And when you look at other cancer organizations that provide similar services, just the way that CanCare does it and the direction CanCare wants to grow in partnering with individuals and partnering with healthcare organizations, there's just such a great comprehensive approach to really making a difference in individual lives. And I felt that individually by the person who I served with for so long on the board. I think that with CanCare's future, and when I say future, I'm now thinking very, very long-term future. Some of the exciting things that we have envisioned is the partnerships as a preferred partner with various hospital systems around the nation. I would love to see CanCare become a internationally recognized service and brand because of the value that we provide to our patients and our caregivers, because of the connection that we make for our volunteer experience, and because of the partnerships that we're able to forage starting now and being able to continue to grow those so that we're brought in as a preferred partner. I don't think that in today's day and age, where so much is done via Zoom or via text or WhatsApp or whatnot, I don't see how we wouldn't be able to provide the support and service that we do here to other people in other nations, and be able to start building out CanCare training and development more widespread in other nations. One thing that I think that this book does for CanCare and for the people that pick it up is it puts a survivor by the side of somebody in their hand. That's the thing that's so amazing about the investments that we've made in technology, the investments that we're making in our transformation for our future. It's so that we can do the background operations in a faster, more scaled way, but it allows us to continue to make those touch points be very, very personal, very, very intimate and caring from the foundations of where CanCare started. We're going to benefit our communities that we're in, our families that we're in, the workplaces that we're in, if we have a heart of empathy, a willingness to reach out and support, and just find a way to do something small or something big in order to partner with CanCare and continue this mission of putting a survivor by the side of anybody going through this journey. It would be lovely to see somebody who learns about CanCare because they maybe had a need as a as a caregiver or as a patient. And then after they wanted to get involved with CanCare, and they got involved either as a volunteer or a donor or a board member or a committee member, maybe they even sought out to be a staff member, who knows? But I would love to see the impact that CanCare makes to be long-standing and be really just a personal commitment that people desire to give back and contribute for like many years to come. I think it says a lot when people find areas in their life that they are passionate about giving back to, and they can look into their network and find a lot of different ways that variety of individuals can be tied in. And I think that is just a beauty of being given another chance and saying that I went through my journey. There were people around me who went through it alongside of me, and I learned so much from it that in giving back, because I was blessed to have friends and family and colleagues around me as I went through it. It's so nice to reach out to them and be able to bring them along, because it was personal for them too. And so, yeah, it's amazing to think of all the impact that everybody can make collectively when you look for ways to partner together. It can be a beautiful thing. For anyone who's been involved with CanCare over the last 35 years, I have to just say thank you so much for having a heart for people, not just the mission of CanCare, but somebody who's actually gone through the cancer journey or the caregiver journey. Thank you so much for having a core within you that is deep and filled with empathy for another, that you would take time out of your life, that you would take the consideration of investing resources to be able to continue to further the feelings of hope and encouragement for other people. Because without having each year where somebody is making that commitment, we would not have the future years to be able to look forward to. And so for anybody who's been involved in CanCare for 35 years, and I hope for anybody who's interested in being involved for 35 more.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Hope in the Face of Cancer, a survivor by your side. If you or someone you know is facing cancer or is supporting a loved one through their journey, we invite you to share this podcast. Thank you for your support in our efforts in the cancer community. No one should face cancer alone.